Just how cursed are the Toronto Maple Leafs? Welcome back, Mother Puckers. Welcome back to the Pucked Up Podcast. We are so happy to have you back for another week. As always, I am your host, D-Bag. I am joined by the radiant Chris. Unfortunately, we are again without our beautiful co-host, Danger, sending all the love her way, and we hope to see her again very, very soon.
Indeed. We miss you.
We miss you. We really do. Wow, what a week it has been.
Dude,
there has
it's
been some movement.
What a
Yeah.
past 24 hours. Let's just say it that way.
That too. We were literally in our team, like on our Discord, and I was like, please, dear God, don't let anyone else get hired or fired in the next 24 hours. And then we get hit with a suspension literally like 30 minutes after I
We
sent
get
the
hit with
message or
like
something
2
crazy.
suspensions, a coach got fired.
It was insane.
It's been
like,
a wild
could you
ride.
just not?
Yeah, no, it's been nuts. It's been freaking
Like,
crazy.
It's been crazy. But it is the off season, so this is when a lot of this stuff starts to happen. You know what I mean? Teams get eliminated, and then immediately the organization is like, and we're done.
Well,
and so we're going to talk about that.
And it's funny because like our question of the week, which we'll talk about later, is a question that I posed in like the LTN Media Discord server, and then like during that conversation is when shit hit the fan. We're like, well, I guess this goes out the window.
We're like, and that answers that question.
Yeah, I was like, wow,
I think
literally
within 24 hours.
Yeah, I was like, not even. It was within like 20 minutes of the conversation starting. I was like, oh, that was fast.
Which, by the way, everyone was in agreement in that conversation too. Like, no one was like, no, you're being silly.
Yeah, we're like, no, this kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't hate
also,
this.
if you want to get in on those conversations, we are having them in our Discord in a place where you can also join in.
Absolutely.
So be sure to check any of our socials, any of our descriptions, for the link to our Discord and join in and be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
If you do it just so you can be a contrarian and say the opposite of what we're saying, that's fine too.
I'm here for shit posting. We have a lot of people that shit post.
We do. Yeah,
Dave and Zach are the kings of shit posting, and they're on the board of directors. So
yeah. It's the call is coming from inside the house, basically.
Oh my god, that's a great reference. I saw that movie in theaters, bro. That's a throwback.
We were so young.
We were like 15, 16.
Yeah. God damn. Anyway, let's jump into our show, shall we?
Always.
Let's start off actually with some updates on the PWHL, who are also in their playoff run currently. They are, I believe, why aren't you loading? Sorry, the bracket is just not.
Oh, you're good.
Not being participatory. So the semifinals, as it currently stands, again, it is best of 5 games. Toronto is leading Minnesota 2-1. And Boston is kicking Montreal's ass. They have won 3 games so far.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy.
And it's a best of 5 series?
That they have.
Yeah, say they're done. That
All right,
series
it's
is
the
over.
best of 5 games. So that series is over. They won their 3 to win. Or to move on. So Toronto could potentially end it all. They are playing tomorrow at 8 p.m. Which you can watch for free on YouTube. So if you want to see whether or not Toronto seals this gig up, go there. If you want to see Minnesota potentially rise from the dead, you can view it all on their YouTube.
And this will be up by the time this goes up.
Boston.
It'll be that game will have already played.
Oh
so.
yeah, that's right.
If it goes to game 5, you'll hear
for any of the other games.
Yeah. By the time this goes up, game 5 will be on Friday when this will go up. So you guys will be able to watch that game tonight if they go.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part about recording this on a Tuesday and putting it up on a Friday.
I know. Club's going up on a Tuesday, as usual. But the same will go for the finals. So whoever ends up in the finals, you can also watch all of those games.
Free on YouTube.
On YouTube. Who doesn't want that? With that said, let's move into some other updates from the PWHL. They have officially announced the PWHL awards, starting with the Rookie of the Year finalists. And I should note that this is presented by Woody Creek Distillers. That has been a major sponsor of the PWHL and throughout this past season, and they continue to do that with the awards this year. So, the Rookie of the Year award is given to the player who showcases the most outstanding ability throughout their first regular season of professional play. Players eligible for the Rookie of the Year award must be competing in their first season of professional hockey in North America and begin the season in their 25th birth year or younger. So those are the two really important caps there. If they had previously played for any other professional women's hockey team, they would be ineligible, and they have to be relatively young, being 25 and under.
Yeah, and that makes sense because this is the league's first year. So technically, everyone is a rookie in
Everybody
league.
is.
But like
Correct.
the only way to sift that out is be like, hey, we have to have some sort of regulations. Like if it's your first season, absolutely. And if you're like a 28-year-old rookie, I could see it.
Congratulations,
but also,
you battled hard.
Yeah. You got to the top, but it's not Rookie of the Year worthy.
Right. And there'll be other awards that you can potentially win. So you're not out of the running for something, for some kind of acknowledgement.
Yeah.
It was an 18-member selection committee, and they cast their votes for 6 regular season PWHL awards, including Rookie of the Year, during the gap between the regular season's end and the playoffs beginning, which was a relatively short gap, mind you. The 3 players that received the most voting points have been named finalists, and all the announcers, will be announced in June. So, starting with our first finalist, we have Emma Malte, a left winger out of Toronto. She was born November 4th, 1999.
November, baby.
Sweet young baby. She's Toronto's second round selection, 11th overall in the inaugural draft. Her first professional season of the 24-year-old, tallied 19 points in 24 games played. Tied for the scoring league among rookies alongside fellow finalist Grace Zumwinkle. Her point output was good for 7th overall in league scoring, as she finished one of just 2 rookies in the top 10 in league scoring. Her 15 assists were first among all rookies and tied for overall league lead in the category with Alex Carpenter. She was also a key contributor to Toronto's penalty kill, which finished first in the PWHL with a 91.8% success rate. What a fucking number, also, for Toronto.
That's nuts.
That's an insane penalty kill. As the forward was just one of 2 players to finish with multiple shorthanded goals, which they called jailbreaks, on the season, including the first ever jailbreak tally on January 5th against New York. Her solid defensive play reflected in her plus-minus rating of +7, placing her first among rookies alongside Alina Mueller. Malte is a graduate from Ohio State, averaged more than 18 minutes a game on the season, that finished first overall. So that brings us to our second nominee, Alina Mueller, a center/left winger for Boston, born March 12th, 1998. Again, just getting in there under the millennium. She was Boston's first round selection and 3rd overall. She tallied 16 points with 5 goals and 11 assists and led her team in scoring with only fellow finalists Malte and Zumwinkle hitting the score sheet more amongst rookies. She was one of just 4 first-year players to finish in the top 15 in league scoring, sitting tied for 13th at season's end. Her defensive contributions are equally significant, boasting a commendable +7 ranking, best for a rookie alongside Malte. The graduate of Northeastern University was a stalwart in Boston's forward lineup, averaging more than 20 minutes a game as a first-year player. With their team's playoff hopes on the line, Mueller provided a goal in each of Boston's last 2 games, helping them clinch a postseason berth. Additionally, she was the first player in Boston history to tally 3 assists in a single game, reaching the mark on January 17th against Toronto. And lastly, the name we've already heard throughout the other people's accolades is Grace Zumwinkle, right winger for Minnesota, who was born April 23rd, 1999. Again, just beating that buzzer. She was Minnesota's 3rd round selection in the inaugural draft, chosen 13th overall. The University of Minnesota graduate played in all 24 regular season games for her team, averaging greater than 18 minutes per game. She had 19 points, 11 goals, and 8 assists on the season, leading her team offensively and placing her tied for first in rookie scoring alongside Emma. She tied for 7th in overall league scoring, as well as one of 2 rookies to finish top 10 in the category. Her offensive prowess is further highlighted by her finishing the regular season as the 2nd highest goal scorer in the PWHL with 11 goals, adding 98 shots on goal, which ranked 2nd amongst all skaters, the 1st among rookies. She also finished 2nd in the PWHL in game-winning goals with 4, one behind league lead. Additionally, Zumwinkle showcased her versatility by tallying 2 power play goals, tied for first among rookies, 2 shorthanded tallies, sharing league lead in that category alongside Emma again, and tied for first overall with 3 shootout goals. Notably, she recorded the first ever PWHL hat trick on January 6th against Montreal. So all 3 of these ladies clearly have had incredible inaugural seasons. I think that any one of them would really be able to take this. I personally think it's going to go to Grace, but I am happy that any one of them get it.
I'm still just trying to wrap my head around the fact that I am 7 to 8 years older than all 3 of these girls. Like,
yeah,
we are like early 90s babies.
Hell yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
Trying to cope
Yeah, we would
with
not have
my
even
own.
known them in school.
No. We both would
That's
have been
crazy.
long out of school before they got to where we were. That's
right.
nuts.
Isn't that nuts?
Fuck, we're old.
Oh, I feel it. Believe me, I feel it.
Mm.
All right, with that, we're going to quickly run through the 3 stars of the week for the PWHL. Again, the only National Hockey League, professional hockey league that's doing 3 stars in the postseason. So thank you for that, for giving us something to look forward to.
Yeah, thanks for not being
All
shitty
right.
like the NHL.
Yeah. Good suck ass NHL. Anyway.
Suck ass.
3rd star. 3rd star of the week this week is Blair Turnbull, a center for Toronto. She is named as one of the PWHL's first stars of the week for the first time this season as her team kicked off their playoff semifinal matchup against Minnesota. Game 1, a 4-0 victory for her team on home ice. Turnbull scored twice, and she remains the only PWHL player to record a multi-goal game in the playoffs thus far. She also has a +3 rating in the game with 4 shots on goal. In Game 2, she was +1, won 55.6 of her draws, and had 3 shots on net and recorded a game-high 9 hits. Turnbull is a key contributor to Toronto's penalty kill unit. Through 2 games, they are perfect 5 for 5 on the penalty kill, which includes shutting down 4 Minnesota power plays in Game 2. Turnbull's contribution at both ends of the ice helped her team make a 2-0 series lead against Minnesota in their best-of-5 playoff matchup, which we know this was written prior to Toronto beating. Well, actually, no, that one's still going. So
that
we
would
do
be
know Minnesota has come
Toronto
back from the dead.
Yeah,
correct. The next one, 2nd star, Aaron Frankel, goalie for Boston. Frankel is named the 2nd star of the week after clinching 2 overtime victories against PWHL Montreal in their playoff matchup. In Game 1, Frankel set a PWHL record for saves in a game, stopping 53 shots, including a combined 29 in the 3rd period and overtime. Boston came out victorious via a 2-1 overtime victory, despite being outshot 54-26. What a fucking number, by the way.
that is nuts.
That is nuts.
That is nuts.
Yeah, the largest shot difference between 2 teams recorded in a PWHL game this season. After settling the single game save record in Game 1, Frankel broke her own record in Game 2, stopping 56 of 57 shots that Montreal put on net in a contest that saw Boston once again come out on top. This time in triple overtime. We love a triple overtime.
What a
in the
savage.
Free hockey.
Yes, we love
through
free
2 games
hockey.
played, Frankel has made 109 saves while posting a .982 save percentage and a .65 goals against average in 185 minutes and 28 seconds played.
That is...
Now, this one, we do know that Boston did go on to beat the pants off Montreal, and congratulations, woo-woo.
Those are like Vezina numbers. Like, I just want to point that out. That is Vezina numbers.
That's I mean, she took twice as many shots as the other goalie and let in, 1 goal?
1. That's
just a singular
fucking
goal.
insane.
That's insane. She was standing on her goddamn head.
Literally, like, she had to have literally been standing on her head at some point. That is nuts.
Legitimately, yeah. And in a move that we love to see, the other first star this week is also a goalie, Kristen Campbell for Toronto. Love goalies taking the top of the leaderboards here. They do so much work.
Oh, yeah.
Campbell is named the first star of the week after backstopping her team to a 2-0 series lead over Minnesota. The Toronto netminder posted back-to-back shutouts in the playoffs. Back-to-back shutouts. That's insane. Maintaining a perfect save percentage in the playoffs through her team's first 2 games. She officially recorded the PWHL's first ever shutout on May 8th, leading her team to a 4-0 victory in Game 1. Campbell made 26 saves in the game and held strong as her team was outshot 11-4 in the second frame. The netminder remained steady in Game 2, a tight checking contest that went down to the wire. Campbell made 21 saves in the match and was particularly sharp while Toronto was on the penalty kill, as the team went 4 for 4 in penalty kills during that game, including killing 2 penalties alone in the third period. With the game tied 0-0 late in the third frame, Campbell continued to shut the door, allowing her team to take a late lead en route to a 2-0 victory and a 2-0 lead in a best-of-5 series, which again, we know that that's now a 2-1 lead in a best-of-5 series. So those are our 3 stars of the week. 2 goalies there at the top. We love to see it.
Oh yeah,
that is incredible.
We're here for all the goalie love. Even though goalies are fucking weird, they're all weird. Every goalie in any sport that has a goalie, they're all weird, and it's okay.
Yeah,
you have to be to willingly stand in front of something that's being shot at you.
Yeah, I have a special love for goalies because I think that sometimes, they make themselves a little bit more weird just because it fits the culture
Oh yeah,
of goalies,
oh yeah.
and I
They
love
lean
that
into it,
they're just like, you know what, I can do whatever I want, so why not?
and that's
Just
fine.
let me be me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know,
They have no restrictions.
we're down
That's
for
great.
that. We're here for that.
We are 100%. We are. All right. Well, let's move into some sad news, shall we, Chris? Oh, actually, no.
I mean, I could take it if you'd like.
I'm leading us into some sad news. You also are leading us into sad news later, so I'll come back to that segue. Don't worry.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
In some sad news for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they have let go Sheldon Keefe, their coach. No replacement has been named. They lost their Eastern Conference first round in 7 games to the Boston Bruins and advanced beyond the opening round. Sorry, let me rewind. The Maple Leafs lost the Eastern Conference in in 7 games, right?
They lost the first round playoff to the
They have
Boston
only
Bruins.
Since 2004 advanced past the first round a singular time, and that was last year.
Yep.
I have to sneeze. They went 46, 26, and 10 in the regular season to finish third. I told you, in the Atlantic Seas division with 102 points. The general manager said today's decision was difficult. Sheldon is an excellent coach and a great man. However, we determined a new voice is needed to help the team push through to reach our ultimate goal. We thank Sheldon for his hard work and dedication to the organization over the last 9 years and wish him and his family all of the very best. Just once in their past 14 postseason games have they scored more than 2 goals in a game.
That's not good.
Which is crazy and not good. They were 1 for 21 on the power play in the series after they were 7th during the regular season. So a precipitous drop off from their regular season play to postseason play. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, in his 5 seasons, Sheldon Keefe was 212, 97, and 40 in 349 games as head coach. All 5 seasons, they made the playoffs. All 5 seasons except for 1, they were ousted in the first round. Yeah, I mean, I think they gave him the benefit of the doubt because he spent 4 years as a coach of the Toronto Marlies, obviously taking them to the Calder Cup in 2017-2018 and winning the Calder Cup. Listen, it's not like they're a bad team, and the problem is I don't think it's necessarily his fault, but
well, he would differ with you because he posted a video to social media that says, I didn't get it done in the playoffs. I didn't help push our team over the line and deliver, and I accept responsibility for that. No excuses. That's the job, and I didn't get it done. It's the reality of the business, and I accept it. To the players, I appreciate all of your efforts, your talents, your work ethic made me look good on a lot of nights. And anyone who stood up for blue and white, I appreciate you. To the support staff of the Maple Leafs, you're tremendous people, and you're elite at what you do. The players and the support staff will drive this team to success. I believe it will win. Leafs Nation, you deserve the Stanley Cup. Your passion at home and on the road is unmatched. It is an incredible honor to coach the Maple Leafs, and I tried to deliver for you.
I mean, considering they haven't won
since,
he did 1967.
Yeah. So he took accountability, whether or not we think he had to, which I think actually is a stand-up move.
Yeah.
To me, that is a man whose ego is not so overbearing. And I think that will serve him well as he looks forward to his next full-time position.
Well, I don't think he's going to have to wait too long, because reports right after he was fired, reports came out that he might be a candidate, and there's a good chance he's going to be a candidate for the vacant spot in New Jersey with the Devils.
I could see it.
So
I could see that for sure. One thing with this, and like you were just saying, you know, he's already being mentioned to potentially take the job there in New Jersey. Peter DeBoer was recently asked about all the changeovers. There have been 19 head coaching changes since the end of last season.
That's crazy.
Which is when you only have
32 teams.
That's like half of your. That's almost no. That's more than exactly half.
That's more than half of your team.
Yeah,
all head coaching.
Because 16 is exactly half. So that's a over 50% turnover rate.
And
anyway, he said, it's insanity. We coach in an age where everyone talks about the modern athlete building relationships in order to coach them. How do you do that with that kind of turnover? It's like going on a date, getting married, and divorced before the appetizers even show up.
Yeah,
I don't get it, but that's just the world we're living in, which I have to say I kind of agree. And I understand that there is this need for results, right?
Yeah.
You want to get past the first round of playoffs more than once in 20 years, I think was what that stat was.
Yeah, essentially.
But at the same time, you can't do that if your coach is only there for 3 years. Now, having said that, I will say that there are very clear instances where they hire a head coach and that coaching style does not jive with the players, in which case you got to let them go because your players are your moneymakers. People come to see, Sidney Crosby on ice. They don't come to see some random man standing behind a bench.
No one's there for Mike Sullivan.
They can't hear. No one. No one's there even for John Tortorella, as much as he's fun to watch.
Yeah,
nobody's
there
for
the Flyers.
100%.
So
I think
are
might
instances be out of a
like
job
that
soon as Mike Sullivan, but
I don't know. Last time they were asked about it, he was like, "No, it's not Mike's fault." So we'll see. I think John Tortorella could also be out of a job soon.
No, Torts ain't going anywhere. He's so Philadelphia. Even if they
he
go
is so
fucking
Philly.
0-82, that fucking organization is gonna keep him forever.
But Philly sports, I mean, they want to win. They want a championship. You know what I mean?
It's not like the Flyers have done anything in the last 20 years, so you know.
But it could happen if they maybe hire someone who doesn't insult his own fucking team. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
But I do think that that's interesting. I think that's an interesting conversation to have about how much time is too little time for you to develop. And this is coming from someone who I coach at the youth level.
Right.
I only get at best 2 years with some of these players. Some years I only get 1 year with because they come in as an 8th grader. And that is, we can build an incredible bond over the 8 weeks of games that we have. But their growth is nothing compared to the one group of girls that I was lucky enough to coach for 3 years.
Yeah.
Because they played up. That team, the girls that I coached, they ended up going to be varsity players.
That's awesome.
Join the varsity squad because they just were more prepared.
Right.
And so I think that these are professional athletes, right? There is not a whole lot more preparing you can do for them. They understand
That's true.
how to forecheck and how to back check and what a slap shot is. You know what I mean? You don't have to teach them that.
Yeah.
Right. But there are other things that you do have to teach players. There are new systems. There are plays that are new and inventive. And there's also the untangibles of it all, right? Of leadership on and off the ice, of team connectedness and all of that. And you can't have team connectedness in a league that is constantly switching out players and coaches and support staff, because then nobody is there to be like, hey, this is how we do this in Toronto.
Right.
Or this is how we do this in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? You just have to hope that one of those old farts is around who's been there for, 18 plus seasons or whatever. And hope that they care enough and are not just like, I'm just doing this until I'm ready to be done. You know what I mean?
I think we're starting to see that now, right? Is like you're starting to see a lot of the old guard going away. And that's not to say it's a bad thing. It's not to say it's a good thing either. It's times are changing. The sport itself is always in a constant state of motion. Always developing, it's always growing, it's always improving, and I think making sure you have the right coach is important. And yes, I do agree with you in the sense that there is not a lot of chance to get any sort of like results with the league we have now, but there's also 32 teams vying for what? 16 playoff spots.
Yeah.
Half the teams aren't getting in.
Yeah.
And when this is a what have you done for me lately type of league, results are the most important thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, look at a team. The Ducks are a really, really good way to look at it. We had
You
Dallas
said it, not
Eakins
me.
for the last couple years.
Yeah.
We bring in Greg Cronin this year. We still finished bottom 3 in the league. How long do you think Greg
Right.
Cronin's going to stay there if we play like this next year?
And see, that's the thing, is that I think you have to, I think sometimes it's not a matter of did we make it or not. It's did we improve? And I think that's why Sheldon left. Last year, he improved. He got him into the second round for the first time
They
in fucking
unfortunately
19 years.
They unfortunately got
And
put up
then,
against the Florida Panthers, who, as we all know, went on a roll and just steamrolled everyone to get to the finals.
yeah, 100%. But then they also, what was that stat that we had?
They've only
They
scored
went from 24% to 4.8% on the penalty kill, or on the power play.
Bad.
I mean, that's
You
bad.
need special teams to be well, and
fucking elite.
What have we been saying all season, right? Austin Matthews is the only one that mattered on the team this year.
One man can't carry a team. Yep.
One guy.
And he was out for several games.
He had almost 70 goals this season.
Yeah. Just shy. Poor fella.
I mean, he did stop at 69, which is so memeable.
That is funny. I wonder if he did it on purpose.
That would be an Austin Matthews thing to do. But like,
yeah,
I don't know how much of this you could put on him. There is blame to be put here on the coach.
The
coach is always a little bit responsible. Everyone involved is 100%. Responsible. But like, I don't know, man. I think the right system, Sheldon Keefe, is going to work out.
I agree. My only other thing with this topic before we move on is I would love to see the NHL get away from just recycling the same 32 coaches over and over again.
Yeah.
I do think that it's time to get some new blood in. Like, things aren't working anymore, right? You have all these coaches who are failing no matter where you put them.
Yeah.
And I don't think that means that they are failures as coaches. I think it means that their style is outdated.
I think so,
for the current topography of players, right? And that's what we have to pay attention to. And then you see coaches like Todd Nelson in Hershey, who is fucking killing it, has a potential to win back-to-back championships there. And he has never really gotten much of a nod from the NHL.
Yeah.
So I think we need to look beyond the same 32 we've roughly had, and we're starting to see some more of that, right?
Like, I mean, Marty St. Louis is going into his 4th year as head coach of the Montreal Canadiens.
Right. I think we're starting to see some of it, but there's still a lot of people that it's like, okay, well, Lindy Ruff, you were over here, and now you're gonna be over here, and now you're gonna be up there, and now you know what I mean?
I will say though, with the Lindy Ruff thing, I think the best thing for him was to go back to Buffalo.
Oh, 100%.
I think it's gonna work at least better than what they were doing at Buffalo. I think Lindy's the guy. Lindy is a legend at Buffalo. Like, that team was good when he was there. I think it's a good move to bring him back. But
I think it potentially is too.
That doesn't always work, because look at the Ducks.
Right.
This is I only say this because the Ducks did this. They won a championship with Randy Carlyle as their coach in 2007. We brought him back and they were ass.
I was going to say, look at Joe Gibbs and the Washington Commanders when they brought him back, because they were like, oh man, we suck. Let's bring back one of the greatest to ever do it, Joe Gibbs. And then he sucked so much ass that year.
Yeah. Here's a fun fact about Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs is the only person to be in both the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
I did know that, yeah.
He's also the only one to win championships in both football and both racing. Yeah.
Which is so seemingly random, but it makes sense. If you know anything about Joe Gibbs, it makes sense.
He's got 4 championships? 5. I
don't know.
Tony Stewart won 2, Terry Labonte won, or Bobby Labonte won 1, Kyle Busch won 2. Then he's got, 3 Super Bowls?
Yeah.
That's a pedigree of winning, no matter where you are.
Right.
But yeah, no, that
But
didn't
unfortunately,
work.
coming back to Washington was not
That was not a good
the
move.
thing for him.
Well, look at
It was not a
Gruden.
good move.
Same with Gruden.
Yeah.
Gruden won a Super Bowl with the Raiders, and they brought him back, and then it was utter dog shit. It was like the worst
trash,
move they could have ever done.
Yeah. So sometimes it works out, and I hope it does work out for Lindy Ruff, because I do think that he's not done yet. But I also think that, like, there are some coaches that maybe should be.
I agree.
And I hope we've seen with that. Yes.
I'm sorry.
I love that you knew exactly where I was going with that.
Little shit in my throat there.
There's a little,
little tickle in my throat. It's called harassment.
Yeah. Anywho, with that said, actually, let's bring it into our question of the week. Which this week centers around this quite a bit, actually. And that is, what do you think the Maple Leafs will look like next year? Or just generally speaking, even if we don't pin it to next year, because I think that we are going to have to be a little bit more forward focused than that. I think I think it's going to take longer than a year to turn that ship around. But Chris, what do you think?
Well, so let me pull up their contract stuff right now. Let me hit up Cap Friendly. You've got several players, including one of your goaltenders and a few top players that are going to be UFAs at the end of the season. TJ Brody, Joel Edmondson, Mark Giordano, Ilya Lyubushkin, Martin Jones, Ilya Samsonov, Max Domi, and Tyler Bertuzzi are all UFAs. Connor Dewar, Nicholas Robertson, and Noah Gregor are restricted free agents along with Timothy Liljegren. The question...
Timothy Chalamet?
Timothy Chalamet. Yeet!
Could you imagine?
Is that fucking Wonka? What? The fuck is the King of Arrakis doing here? What is this shit? I think something needs to change. I think something needs to change. I don't see it just being a coach.
Correct.
I can see some players being moved. I mean, Marner is going to be on the last year of his contract. Next year is a contract year. John Tavares is on a contract year next year. Like some of your core guys, obviously Austin Matthews is under contract for forever.
Yeah, they locked him in tight. But that doesn't mean we can't see him move.
That doesn't mean they won't trade him. I think they'd be fucking crazy to trade him unless you get the number 1 overall pick for the next 4 fucking years.
Yeah, I think they would be
very
stupid to trade him.
sweet package to get rid of the best goal scorer in the NHL.
But I mean, are they potentially putting themselves in the same position that Edmonton did? Because Edmonton got one of the best goal scorers for, when he entered the league, in Connor McDavid.
Connor McDavid is the best player on the planet.
What has Edmonton done?
Well, right now, they're winning 1-0 currently. That's what they're doing right now. The biggest thing with Edmonton is they eventually, I think it was a lack of chemistry at the beginning. You have all of these talented guys in your first 2 lines, and they got it done during the regular season last year, and then they fell apart. Right. This year, they started off very sloppy. Obviously, they picked it up through the middle of the season. They're playing really good hockey right now against arguably one of the top 3 teams in the NHL. But I think
leading 2-1
in the series. I think it's a different situation, though. You've got a lot of guys that are getting older on that team. You've got a lot of young talent, but the problem is they don't have enough money. Like, they only have about less than $600,000 as a cap space, or for like any sort of salary space. That's not
right.
That's not terrific. They've got a $16.5 million salary pool, and you got about $500,000 of that left. You got to figure out how to make this team better. First of all, you got to figure out your goaltender situation. You have 3 goaltenders. 2 of them are solid. Samsonov has really come into his own in Toronto, but Joseph Woll,
but Samsonov is still just as inconsistent as he was in Washington.
He was.
That's his Achilles heel, is that he is inconsistent.
And
so you have to figure out a way to fix that.
Well, and the thing is no offense to the Capitals, but he has a way better team in front of him now, especially defense.
True.
Which is what has been one of the Achilles heels of the Capitals for the last at least 3 or 4 years, is their inconsistent defense.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, forever's kind of cost you guys a lot of big games.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a lot of talent on this team, and there's a lot of people that they could honestly offload. You notice how I haven't mentioned Matt Murray, because Matt Murray has been real fucking useless.
Yeah.
The thing that's going to help them on the LTIR, Jake Muzzin, Matt Murray, and John Klingberg, all on long-term IR, they're all UFAs this year.
Yeah.
So, I think the best case scenario is you pin down the players that you think are going to help you the best, sign them, don't re-sign everyone, see if you can maybe snag a couple good players, solid pieces in the free agency, and make sure you draft well. And prepare for the idea that you might miss the playoffs. I think they need to retool a little bit first before I am fully on board with the Toronto Maple Leafs not being the meme of the NHL playoffs.
Absolutely. I think that they need to do better work in their with their, not AHL, but whatever, with their lower team counterparts to be training guys up, because I think that they I don't think that they have enough training happening there, and then they're coming in and there is too much of a mix match there. I think what you said is spot on about it's a vibe in the room that isn't completely there, because they have players.
I think it's a chemistry issue. I think that's really what it is.
Issue. And so one way that you fix that is you start bursting those ego bubbles, and you just got to do it. You know what I mean? Pull the trigger.
You got to rip it off like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, absolutely. I think starting with a head coaching change, as much as I think Sheldon Keefe is a good coach, he'd been there for 9 years and didn't have a hell of a lot to show for it. In terms of what everybody wants, right? Which is a deep cup run at the very least, if not to hoist that actual cup.
Right.
So starting with a coaching change, I think, though, you also need to pay attention to what your special teams is doing. For your special teams to have fallen apart that drastically in the playoffs, you need to have a conversation there. There needs to be some kind of a reckoning for that. And I think it also is a matter of, and I tell my players this all the time too, you play like you practice, right? So if you weren't actively coaching your team as how to play playoff hockey, it's very different from regular season hockey. So you have to do two things simultaneously. You have to coach the regular season, and you have to prep for postseason play. And I don't think they've prepped enough for postseason play.
I don't either.
And I don't know if that is the struggle of the curse, right? Where they get in their own head about it, and they're like, well, it's always going to be an uphill battle for us because we're a cursed Canadian fucking team.
Y'all haven't won a Stanley Cup in almost like 60 years.
Yeah. So like you have to battle against that. And that starts day one in the locker room with preparing that mindset day one. And I think that will pay dividends to them.
I'm going to throw this out here. I think a member of the core four is gone.
Oh God. Yeah.
And
that's what a bunch of fans are saying.
Tavares, Marner, and Nylander, one of them is gone. And if I had to hedge my bet, I think it's Tavares.
I was going to say either Tavares or Nylander.
They're the two oldest.
I think they keep Marner and Matthews together.
Yeah. Those two are a dynamic duo.
I think Eminem's stay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're a dynamic duo. We've all and this is 100%. Nothing to John Tavares and William Nylander are also no slouches. Phenomenal. They are top players. But the core fours are great. Listen, I'm a Yankees fan who grew up in the 90s. I'm all for a core four.
You're familiar. Yeah.
But the difference is the Yankees were successful over that decade or with several years with that core group. The problem here, if you're living for the playoffs, then that's it. If that's your goal is to get to playoffs, homie, you did it.
Right.
But I don't know about you. This is a league that wants championships. The Stanley Cup
Correct.
isn't given to just anyone. You have to earn that. You have to earn that in
Mm-hmm.
probably the toughest playoffs in sports.
Yeah.
And when your your big players are not really getting it done, and like the rest of the team also isn't
Mm-hmm.
following suit, I feel like
Yep.
your top guy, something needs to change at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
And also, mm-hmm.
like you're on there. Marner and Tavares are both on, like they'll be on their last year next season. Question is, do you hold on to them until the trade deadline, try to get something for them? Do you let their contracts run out? Do you re-sign them? I don't know, but something has to change.
Yeah,
It has
absolutely. And I think that this is something that I've seen across many different sports, is you have the idea that certain players are big fish in a small pond, and certain players are small fish in a big pond, right? And I think right now they have too many big fish, and it's making their pond too small.
Oh yeah.
So your lesser players don't have room to grow because quite literally there is no room left for them.
Yeah.
So you have to remove some of those bigger fish so that some of the smaller fish get a bigger pond and can grow more. Because no man is an island. And I'm going to mix so many metaphors. You have to have that because, again, as we saw, you're not always going to have Austin Matthews available to play. You're not always going to have Mitch Marner available to play.
Exactly.
So somebody else has to step up. And unfortunately, when you have other people who are overly talented, other team members don't feel as if they have to step up. And that is one thing that I will say I have seen the Caps do well in previous seasons. When Ovechkin's not in the lineup, when Oshie's not in the lineup, like, do we tend to suck more? Yeah, but then you see people like Connor McMichael step it up or Ivan Miroshnichenko step up because they have to.
Yeah.
Because now their pond is bigger and they are recognizing that fact. And we need to see that in Toronto.
Look at Vancouver.
Yeah.
They lost.
They got rid of some of their big fish, and they made their pond much, much bigger by doing that.
They were
and
the
now
top
they're in the
team in
second
the
round.
NHL for a good amount of time throughout the year.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
They have been no slouch. Look at Dallas. Dallas is thriving off of their young guys, their young talent. And I think that's so important.
And they also have that one really old dude. But that's a different discussion.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, even on the defense, like Timothy Liljegren, Morgan Riley, TJ Brody, Jake McCabe, Joel Edmondson, like they're Ilya Lyubushkin, like they have all these big name players, but it's just not It's just not melding. And a good example this season was the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah.
The Penguins have all of this firepower, and they couldn't get the fuck out of their own way.
Yeah.
And then what happened? They traded Jake Gensel.
Which it seems like an insane move, but they're making their pond bigger. And hopefully that works for them.
They have a lot of talent in Wilkes-Barre. They have a lot of talent in Wilkes-Barre. I think that could be a good move, but like also at the same time, it's one of those situations where they're in a different scenario because you have 4 future Hall of Famers if we count Erik Karlsson, because let's be real. You've got 4 amazing, like some of the best ever do at playing, and they can't even get a playoff berth for these guys.
And they're in a situation where some of their guys, like Sidney, they're not going to trade him away.
No, Crosby's not going anywhere.
Away? He's going to retire.
Letang's not going anywhere. Malkin's not going anywhere.
Right. And so that does present a problem, though, because that takes up cap space.
It does.
And that takes up room, like physical room, where you are going to be unable to grow because those guys, you're not. Sidney Crosby is never going to be a healthy scratch.
No,
at this point in his
those
career,
3 players have been there their entire fucking careers and won championships for that organization. None of them will be a healthy scratch.
Now they have to get creative, though, right? Like they have to figure out a way to improve their players so that when Sidney gets hurt, because he does unfortunately have some recurring injuries that just flare up from time to time.
Yeah.
Like many players his age
that have had their asses whipped for 20 years almost, you know?
Yeah. Right. the problem that they run into is they don't have people who are able to step up in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that again comes back to a training. You have to work with your training partner programs in the AHL and the ECHL to get these kids ready to go in a different way. And I think that would benefit Pittsburgh and clearly would benefit Toronto.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, if you even like look at Pittsburgh right now and like the irony of which that we discuss them and who their GM is is Kyle Dubas, who was the GM of the Maple Leafs for the last like what, 5 years, 4 years. So I don't know. And like, yes, I love a good meme, but also at the same time, the Toronto Maple Leafs are one of the oldest franchises in the NHL. And I'm gonna be real, 30 years since a Canadian team has won a Stanley Cup is really fucking long. I really would like that to end at some point soon.
I mean, so would I, but also the chaos demon in me is just like, let it never end because that is the funnier outcome. And so I do want eventually a team to win. I'm not going to say which team, but I do eventually want a team to win it.
Yeah.
But I just think it's funnier if it goes on for just a little longer.
Well, we got two have a shot. So we got 2 left out of 4.
We'll see. Yeah.
But like yeah, I don't know. I don't know, where do you start? Is this do I have another NHL 24 challenge? By the way, for those that were keeping up, I got knocked out first round of the playoffs.
Good for you.
with the Chicago Blackhawks that I built. I got my ass whooped by a Arizona Coyotes team that was fucking filthy. So
there you go.
Respect to the Coyotes for one last.
Now you know what
whooping.
the Bruins franchise feels like.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I also didn't win like the fucking President's Trophy.
Yeah.
But the team was good. So is this another challenge? Do I have to figure out how to make the Toronto Maple Leafs good?
I mean, I think you can do that very easily in NHL. I think doing it in real life is a little bit harder.
Oh, it's so much harder.
Because of the real life people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, that pesky little thing.
I'm curious though. I feel like this would be a good challenge for me to see if I can get them a Stanley
Try it out, let me know.
In one season.
Yeah. Speaking of real life people though, who are making things harder for their team, let's give an update about a player from the player assistance program who recently got into a little trouble.
Yes. So, Colorado Avalanche player Valeri Nichushkin has been placed in stage 3 of player assistance program, which means he has officially been suspended for at least 6 months without pay. The rumor is, and nothing's been official, we're hearing that it was a failed drug test. For those that are not familiar, shout out to Pierre LeBrun for being the fucking absolute legend that he always is. He sent out a tweet earlier yesterday, said Nichushkin is now in stage 3 of the program. A refresher for those, and this is good for everyone, a refresher of the program stages. Step 1 of the player assistance program. First, inpatient treatment, no penalty. Stage 2, for violation of stage 1 treatment plan. Suspension without pay during active phase of treatment, and then eligible for reinstatement. Stage 3, which is where Nichushkin is currently, for violation of stage 2 treatment plan, suspension without pay for at least 6 months, and then eligible for reinstatement. Now, there is a stage 4. Stage 4 is a violation of stage 3 treatment plan, suspension without pay for at least 1 year, reinstatement not assured. So, this is obviously Valeri's second time within some sort of stage in this season with the player assistance program. Obviously this comes at an even worse time when the Colorado Avalanche are down 3-1 in the series.
But it's also not the first time that Valeri has left his team high and dry during the playoffs. This is his second straight season doing that maneuver.
Correct.
Which has left some of his teammates, from rumors that we've heard, and comments they've made to reporters, a little bit annoyed, shall we say?
Yeah.
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 Which is understandable. I mean, it's tough. You know, addiction is a terrible disease. Any of us who have seen a loved one battle it, I think can attest to that. However, I think one of his players said it best when he said he made his choices and now we are where we are.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is.
I mean, again, from someone, and I know you've dealt with in your family, I know for myself, who in my own life has dealt with substance abuse issues, and I've been pretty open about my experiences. It's a bitch. It's real hard to deal with, and
Yeah.
it takes a lot of willpower, and it takes a lot of self-control, and some people don't have that, and I get it. I get it, but this is a situation where he's kind of affecting a lot more people than himself.
Correct.
I hope that this is a eye opener for him, because you don't want to have stage 4.
No,
because there's a chance you just never play again.
I mean, yeah, you want to play in the AHL. He could go back to, you know, any of the European teams and play there. It's not, excuse me, like his hockey career would end with this. He can go elsewhere, but it ends a major chapter of his life.
And he's 29. He's in the prime of his career. And you're just hurting yourself and your team.
And we won't see him until November or December at the earliest.
Yeah, we won't see him
because
until
of the 6-month suspension.
And depending on if they count it as like in season, because if that's the case,
I don't think they do.
Okay. I wonder. That part.
I think it's 6 months from the infraction.
Yeah,
that part has not been clarified, but from the way I understood it, it's 6 months from the failed test.
Okay.
I don't think it's 6 months of playtime, because then that gets tricky with like mandatory breaks, like the All-Star break and things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can penalize players for there being a Christmas holiday or an All-Star break. Just like I don't think you can penalize players for there being a summer break, because that's ideally the best time to recover from something anyway.
Yeah.
So I think we will see him in November, December timeline, should everything go according to plan. Just from us at LTN, if you are someone who is dealing with addiction or struggling with anything mental health related, reach out to someone. There are numerous support hotlines and chat groups and things like that. Every city has some sort of an AA or an NA, and if that's not your bag, there are other programs too for the same thing. Reach out to somebody. It's never too late, and you are worthy of the grace of support.
And it's okay to struggle.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah,
we all struggle, and we all deal with it in our own ways. It's okay, but better yourself if you can, and you're not alone. That's
clearly.
And like, you know, just reach out to someone, anyone. And that's your first step. So I hope Valeri gets everything he needs, and I hope that this is the eye opener that he needs, and I hope that we see him back next year, ready to go, and back to Valeri Nichushkin levels, because we all know how fucking good that guy is.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we're talking about it, it's a real big deal.
Right. Absolutely. So, yeah, hope the best for him. Hope he can sort of get his shit together. His team clearly does need him.
It's not going well.
So yeah, it's not doing great. Let's just say that. New. All right, moving on just a wee bit. We do have some updates. I remember last week we talked about how the Ted Lindsay Award was the only one that's finalists weren't announced at the time of recording. So I'm just going to close that loop and tell you who is up for nomination for that. The award is given to the most outstanding player as voted on by fellow members of the NHL Players Association. The people who have clinched it will be surprising to absolutely no one. We have Nikita Kucherov, a right winger for the Tampa Bay Lightning, Nathan McKinnon, a center for the Colorado Avalanche, and Austin Matthews, also a center for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So those are our 3 finalists this year.
3 top players. Wow. Shocker.
Yeah, right. None of those names are the least bit surprising.
Nope. 2 of which are up for the fucking Hart Trophy, so...
Yeah, and Matthews is up for the Selkie as well.
Yeah. So.
And also the Lady Bing. I forgot that Matthews was.
That's true. Yes, Matthews up for the Lady Bing too.
Yeah. So man's just collecting awards.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. He obviously hasn't won anything yet. So we will keep you updated when those come out as well. All right. Speaking of updates, which we've already given some, Chris, you want to update us as to where we currently stand with our playoff battle as we are in round 2?
I shall. So as of time of recording, don't forget this is subject to change by the time this episode airs. Currently, on the Eastern Conference side, Florida Panthers have a 3-2 lead over the Boston Bruins. The New York Rangers have a 3-2 lead over the Carolina Hurricanes. I was going to call them the Panthers. That's the wrong sport.
The Carolina Hurricanes are battling back because it was 3-0.
It was 3-0.
And now it's 3-2. So happy for them.
That was real scary.
Yeah.
On the Western Conference side, as we mentioned before, the Colorado Avalanche, they are down 3-1 to the Dallas Stars. And the Vancouver Canucks are up 2-1 over the Edmonton Oilers. That game is game 4 is currently in second intermission right now with the Oilers up 2-0. Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl are the ones who have scored the goals. Not that that's really going to matter. But yeah, that is where we are at currently. By the time you guys get this, 2 of these series might be over, 3 of these series might be over.
Yeah.
But I think
isn't that insane?
It is. I know. I feel like we should probably start recording closer to when we release.
Yeah.
And who knows? That might change next season. You guys are just gonna have to keep up and
yeah, stay tuned.
You never
Again,
know.
if you follow us on socials and stuff, you'll know.
Absolutely.
That's how you know.
Yeah, I feel like one of these series is a lot more shocking than the rest.
Which one?
I feel like Dallas and Colorado should have been a closer series.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised with the Florida and Boston series. I feel like Florida's a better team. I feel like they should. Honestly, I was surprised they didn't wrap it up tonight.
Right.
They put a whooping on Boston 2 games in a row. Like, it was bad.
Yeah, it was. It sure was.
It's hard to bet against Boston's goaltending. Jeremy Swayman literally saved the season for Boston.
Oh God, yeah.
Several times tonight.
100%.
Several times.
Yes.
And that's not this. And again, I understand. I know Bruins fans. I'm not shitting on you guys. Don't come at me in the comments, or do. Honestly, it's more fun for me that way. I just it's so hard for me to pick the Bruins because they always find a way to just blow it when it matters the most.
Yeah.
And like
agreed.
I think I had said it on here a couple weeks ago that Bruins fans should be concerned when they went 7 games to Toronto. They should have fleeced Toronto. It shouldn't have been close.
Right.
Look at how quick Florida dispatched of the Lightning. The Lightning are a good fucking team.
Yeah.
The Lightning are a real good team. I just like that series. I'm not really surprised. I'm very surprised with how. No, I'm not, because like the Carolina New York series has really been a very close game until like the end. There really hasn't been any blowouts. Like it's been
entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it's been great. Carolina is a very unfortunate recipient of the same things that Vegas had. Just some very unlucky bounces of the puck.
Yeah. Agreed.
The Vancouver and Edmonton, I think, is going to be... I think that goes 7 games because those are both really good teams. And they're both playing up to where we feel like they should be playing, especially Edmonton right now. I feel like Edmonton is playing to where I think we expected them to be all season.
Yeah.
But Vancouver is no fucking slouch. They are hot right now. So I don't know. I can't gauge any picks here. Like I can't really gauge the momentum. I feel like the only one that's going to get wrapped up is probably Dallas.
That's what I was gonna say. I think we see Florida and Boston go to a game 7. We see New York and Carolina go to a game 7, and we see Vancouver and Edmonton go to a game 7. I do not see that happening with Dallas, Colorado as of right now.
I also think it's a goddamn shame that Jake Ottinger is not a finalist for the Vezina.
Yeah,
what the
right?
fuck is that about?
Yeah, I know.
That dude's a savage.
Yeah, I don't know. I love extra hockey though, so anytime we get to game 7s,
I'm here for a good game 7.
Let me rephrase that. I love game 7 when it's not my fucking team.
And you're not having a heart
You know what I
attack?
mean?
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, and I'm not,
I
like,
also hate game
crying every other
7s when the
night.
Ducks are in it.
Correct. But I love it as a hockey fan. I love game 7s. I love an occasional overtime. Going into, like, triple overtimes, not my fave because your girl's got a bedtime.
Dude, well, we had that last week, didn't we? Where we literally stopped recording of the podcast to watch the game, to watch that game. And like right now,
So.
I have the Vancouver Edmonton game on, which is how I'm sitting here able to be like, oh, Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins scored.
Yeah, I have it up on my browser. Because I want to follow along with that too. But I do think, again, I want to see Carolina kick New York out for vendetta reasons, but also that's the funnier outcome.
That's also who you picked to win the Stanley Cup, so I would hope that you want Carolina to, you know.
Also, that's one of the personal reasons. But their last game, they beat them 4-1, which was the biggest swing so far in the series because it either been 3-4 or 3-2.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
They've been 1-goal games.
Fashion. They've been 1-goal games.
But look at the offense that both of those teams have. Like, I'm not surprised in any way.
The firepower. Yeah.
It's nuts.
The Boston-Florida matchup has been also insane to watch. The not dead yet effect is really entertaining to me.
Mm-hmm.
They're totally going to a game 7.
I think
they
so.
Absolutely are.
I wouldn't be shocked if Florida ends it in game 6, but like I also would not be shocked if
Florida ends it in game 6 though, it's game 6 in overtime. Like it's a battle.
It really, you know what I mean? It really, I think, depends on if Boston's goaltending shows up. There's no question that Florida is gonna. Sergei Bobrovsky. There's a reason that he is making $10 million a year. Like
Jesus Christ,
Bob is having Columbus numbers. Like we all remember how much of a beast he was with the Blue Jackets. Like he's finally coming back to his like big time numbers, and it's crazy to me to think that. In both losses, Florida's been held to 1 goal.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that in both losses against Boston, they've only scored once.
I misheard you and thought you meant it was a 1-goal differential. I was like, Chris, it's been like 5-1, 6-1.
60, I misheard you. For both,
they've been
both
held
losses.
To
So it really depends on. Game 6 is going to depend on if the Bruins goaltending shows up.
Yeah. But they're headed back to Boston, and I think that
TD Garden gets loud.
Yeah. I think that might do something for him.
I want to give a shout out to the NHL as a whole for their playoff commercials.
Yeah.
They have been so excellent. The Colorado Avalanche one. The couple that have been together like 8 years, they win the Stanley Cup, and they're like, the one time we're not together, and then they broke up. The Nashville Predators one where the guy smuggles a catfish in, and like the security guard knows it. Then there's that stare that like he's panicking, just nods and lets him go, and then he throws the catfish in the ass. I'm like, shout out to the league for having such great content for commercials. Like that's so well done. I'm seeing them pop up on social media of people who don't even watch hockey that are like, I'm probably going to tune in now because this commercial's so cool.
And this is what people have been asking for. I mean, first of all, NHL, if you're listening, pay me for this, but you need to do a commercial with Olmark and Swayman with the goalie hug that's just centered around that.
They did.
Like it's some sort of a virus that infects the whole world. You need to do more with that because that's
Yeah.
what brings people into the sport.
The hug, I'm not a Bruins fan by any means, but I
But you
love the
love it.
Ullmark and Swayman.
It's
I
so
love that.
amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
And
It's
I'm
perfect.
really glad Ullmark didn't get traded.
Yeah, me too.
Because it just wouldn't have felt the same.
No. So anyway, that is our playoff updates. Thank you so much, Chris, for wrapping up where we are currently. As always, we'll be back next week, and hopefully, maybe we'll be in our conference finals next week.
You know what? There's a good chance.
There's a good chance. We'll see. Anything can happen. It's only Tuesday, as you know. All right, next we're going to move into some updates because we do have some bad boys. Unfortunately, we've had quite a few bad boys.
Yeah.
Let's start with the suspensions, shall we?
On May 12th. All right, we're ready. Let's get into it.
On May 12th, Carson Soucy of the Vancouver Canucks was suspended 1 game for cross-checking Connor McDavid. Because this is the playoffs, there is no monetary amount associated with that. On May 13th, as we've already talked about, Valery Nichushkin of the Colorado Avalanche was put on suspension for 6 months for violating the terms of his contract, of the player assistance program. And so that is TBD as to how much he will forfeit, because obviously, again, they don't get paid for preseason work.
That will eventually
getting paid.
That will eventually.
Actually, they do get paid for preseason work.
I think so.
Yeah. But that will eventually.
That's going to grow into
updated.
some sort of monetary value. Yeah.
That's going to grow into a lot of monetary value for several months of play. Then we did have a fine as well. Again, that May 12th incident. Nikita Zadorov of the Vancouver Canucks for cross-checking Connor McDavid, and he forfeited $5,000. Now I'm going to say this, and this is going to make some people upset. I think that this was an extreme reaction to suspend these players, to suspend Carson, because Carson was going. let me finish.
Okay.
Carson was going to do a cross-check, 100%. The only reason it was as bad as it was is because Nikita pushed him in, pushed Connor McDavid in the back, and that made Connor start to fall down as Carson's coming across. So the hit was worse because of another player's actions. And I don't think that that's fair to Carson that he gets a 1-game suspension for that, when it was the same exact action that Nikita did, just from a different angle. You know what I mean? And it was an unfortunate timing thing. Do I think they both should be fined? Yes. I think the suspension is a little ridiculous, and I think you're only doing that because it's Connor McDavid.
I think that's a fair point. I think that's a very fair point. I don't totally disagree with you. I feel like they're setting a precedent in the playoffs of saying, hey, we're not going to tolerate hits that could deem dangerous to anyone. And we have seen how many times have we seen misconduct so far the playoffs? I've seen them a couple times.
Yeah. Right.
I can definitely see where you're coming from, and that's a very fair take. I feel like the people that are going to get mad at you are the people that have already made up their minds and refuse to listen to any sort of reasoning. And I get it.
Again, I still think Carson should have been penalized. I think 1 game during a playoff run for the action that was only as bad as it was because another player forced him into a more vulnerable position.
Yeah.
At a time when Carson could not have adjusted. His arms are already extended. You know what I mean? Like there's not
much you could do.
It was bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
There's not much you could do. And so I think that that's just a little unfair. I think Carson's going to eat it and say that's fine.
It's
especially
suspension
because
worthy if McDavid got hurt. That's when it's suspension worthy. He didn't. He
did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he popped up and was just fine. So that's why I'm kind of like, do we really need to have suspended him? I don't know. Maybe it's just like a higher fine.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But I'm not like appalled by it. It's not. Right. I'm not going to go boycott Dops. I'm already boycotting them for other reasons.
I was going to say, hold on. For all the other shit we've called them out on, this is where you draw the line.
No.
This is it.
I'm very mad at them, but I'm not going to be more like, this is not going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Because I can see why they did it. I just think it's a little ridiculous.
Again, I'm going to bring this up again. Jacob Trouba baseball swung a stick at someone's fucking head and didn't get suspended.
Okay. Can I just really quick for a second, because you brought up his name? He just won the fucking Messier Award for fucking leadership or whatever. How?
He also just tried to kill Martin Natchez the other day.
How the fuck did he just get that award? Like, this was this week, Chris.
Dude, he fucking tried to kill Martin Natchez the other day. Like, what the fuck?
Now, I will say, Natchez ducking and having Trouba annihilate himself, funniest outcome.
Against the board was so worth it.
So amazing.
I did like
Natchez is
PK's.
so lucky.
I did like PK's take on that. PK Subban had a good take. He goes, I'm all for this type of play. Do I think there should have been any suspension or fine for Trouba? No. He's like, if he made contact, absolutely.
Yes.
That would have been real bad. Natchez probably would have gotten hurt. He left his feet. He led with the elbow.
Dude, he left his feet.
He fucking headbutted the glass.
I'm surprised it didn't shatter.
You know what?
Honestly.
It would have been funnier if it shattered.
It would have been funnier. 100% it would have.
Yeah, I don't know how the
But this man just won a fucking Messier Award.
Yeah, for sportsmanship? For what, bro? Come on. Fuck you. Fuck
brother.
You.
Be so for real right now.
Oh my god. That is...
Yeah. Anyway. I forgot. I was going to put that in our show notes, and I forgot. Because I saw it and I was just like, you cannot be serious in this moment right now.
Oh, dude.
Anyway. Chris, you want to update us on some of our injured the boys?
Hey, guess what? This is going to be real fucking short, y'all.
It'll be great.
For the Boston Bruins, the only new thing was Brad Marchand is day-to-day with an upper body injury. I don't believe he played today.
I don't know. I wasn't looking for him because I never do.
Honestly, kind of same.
You, Brad Marchand?
If I'm watching the Bruins, it's usually to cheer against them. Yes, I realize that out of all of us, I'm the one who tries to say down the middle of the road. There are some teams I really fucking hate. I just don't talk about it. Except for the Kings and the Sharks, y'all fucking know. To D and Danger, they know the teams I don't like.
Right.
Nothing new for the Hurricanes. For the Colorado Avalanche, Devin Taves is day-to-day with an illness. Syphilis! Toot toot!
That one probably actually is syphilis.
No one's been on the syphilis bus in a while.
Yeah, true.
Nothing new for Dallas. Nothing new for Edmonton. Nothing new for Florida. For the...
Sorry.
Am I missing someone?
No, just the way you said it. You went,
Florida?
It just made me giggle. Yeah.
It was mainly me trying to remember how to fucking read. For the New York Rangers, Philip Cheadle is day-to-day with an illness. Also, could very well be syphilis.
Could be syphilis. We don't know.
No one new for... No, we do have one new for Vancouver. Philip DiGiuseppe is day-to-day for personal reasons. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully everything's all good there. And that's it.
We're done.
We're done. That was what? 30 seconds.
Yeah, correct. Which now just means that you get to do one of our favorite segments on the show.
Hold on, let me pull up
the most well-loved segment.
Indeed. Yes.
Yes.
Now, to round out the show, it is time for our Obscure NHL Player of the Week. The reggae horn is the greatest thing ever.
It's the best.
This week, our player is a gentleman by the name of Trent Vogelhuber. I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
We'll go with it.
We're gonna go with it. He was born in July 13th, 1988 in Dublin, Ohio.
Oh man, I got excited for a second. I thought we had an Irish player, and that
would be fucking crazy. No, just Ohio.
Right?
It's
just
like
Ohio.
It's like Ireland, but flat.
But just as many cryptids, believe it or not.
You know, true, because it's fucking Ohio.
Because it's fucking Ohio.
I have friends in Ohio, and they're like, yeah, it's flat. You ever want to see the whole state, just stand on a hill.
Just go anywhere else in the state.
Just go stand on a hill, and you can see it all.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what's special about him?
His middle name is reggaeton.
I actually don't have that information.
Fuck it up, Chris.
Yeah, a little
What
bit.
a name. Trent Reggaeton Vogelhuber.
Also, can we talk?
Amazing.
This is a little off topic. Can we talk about how every reggaeton song has the exact same fucking beat? They're all.
But they're good to move to.
Oh, I love reggaeton. I don't speak Spanish, but I love the beat. It's such a vibe.
It is a vibe.
No, he was drafted 211th overall in 2007 by the Columbus Blue Jackets, which would make him Mr. Irrelevant.
There we go.
Fun fact. He never played a fucking game in the NHL.
You have so many of those.
That's kind of an on-purpose thing.
Yeah.
He played the majority of his career in the AHL, between the Springfield Falcons and the Lake Erie Monsters and the San Antonio Rampage.
Okay.
One of which is not a team anymore. No, I'm sorry, two of which are not teams anymore.
I was going to say, I don't recognize
the Springfield... That's
more than one of those names.
Yeah, I remember the Springfield Falcons, but again, I'm from New England, so...
No,
what did they become? Is the question. Oh, they're the Springfield Thunderbirds now. That's right.
Okay.
Sorry, I just had to do a little bit of deep dive. He also spent some time in the Central Collegiate Hockey Association.
Okay. Never even heard of it.
It is a college athletic conference in the Midwestern United States that participates in the NCAA Division I hockey. He did spend a season in the USHL as well, and the ECHL, but the majority of his career was in the American Hockey League. 267 career games, 28 goals, 45 assists, total of 73 points, 191 penalty minutes.
Wow.
26 games played in the playoffs, 4 goals, 6 assists, and 8 penalty minutes. Also capturing the Calder Cup in 2016 with the Lake Erie Monsters.
Then.
I want to know who else was on there. That is, you know what? I'd love to do a deep dive on that. At some point. But yeah, he was named the head coach of the Lake Erie Monsters as of June 8th, 2022.
Nice.
He is still currently serving as the Cleveland Monsters head coach.
Fancy.
Which I believe they relocated or changed their name. One of two. I don't know. I can never keep up with AHL teams. They move and change their names so frequently.
Yeah. True.
Like there's two in Connecticut. We have the Hartford Wolfpack, who were at one point changed their name to the Connecticut Whale.
That's silly.
That didn't last long. And the Bridgeport Islanders, who are formerly the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. Also, I love how 2 of the 3 New York teams have AHL affiliates in Connecticut.
Right.
Also, the Bridgeport Islanders, their stadium is located in the sketchiest part of the city of Bridgeport, which is a scary city altogether. And if you're ever in Bridgeport, Connecticut, run.
I have no need to be, so I'll be safe.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever come visit me, just don't stop in Bridgeport ever. Although
it just won't stop, period.
Yeah, if you're in Rhode Island, you actually wouldn't have to go through that way. I
don't.
No. But
we're taking a train. So.
Yeah, well, that'll be fun though. I've taken a train from where you from Connecticut to where you are, and it's a long fucking train ride.
It's not bad. I've taken it to Rhode Island multiple times now.
Shout out to Rhode Island. The state in New England with the biggest drug problem. But yeah, that's what good old Trent is up to.
Trent, would you please let us know what your middle name is, and if it is in fact reggaeton? Because if it's not,
you should change it.
You should look into legally changing it.
Legally change
free
that
advice from us here at Pucked Up Podcast. Legally change that shit.
Yeah.
If it's like Trent Frederick, that's lame. Find a new
I
name.
hope it's Jean-Claude, because then that's 2 words.
That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Let us know down below some of your thoughts on what we talked about this week, whether that be what you think Toronto's fate is, whether or not you think head coaches should have more time for development. If you think the refs are total poo-poo garbage and need to be all sent back to remedial school, which is a personal belief that I
Remedial
hold.
school. This
Let
bitch
us
is like,
know.
nah, fam, you gotta go back to remedial. Go back to 100%. Kindergarten, motherfucker.
You gotta learn your colors, motherfucker. We gotta start there.
We're starting with the basics.
Colors, numbers, all of it. Let us know.
Bring in the fucking Sesame Street squad. Sit these motherfuckers down, lock them up, lock them in a room, and make them binge Schoolhouse Rock.
Dude, that would be such good content, though. Can you imagine NHL?
Oh my god, with milk and cookies sitting at the table.
I'm telling you, if you want to up,
make them have naps.
Your
send them back to kindergarten.
Commercial game. Send these referees to remedial school on a commercial. Your fans will fucking they'll lose their minds in the best way possible.
Also,
in the best way possible.
You know what else I want the league to do? Continue to do the Disney games with the animations,
yes.
because that is so fucking cool. And
it's so dope.
Like, for them to be the first American sports league to do it that way with Disney, and now everyone's kind of following suit.
I have a feeling we may see that come in one of the conference final games, or potentially the Stanley Cup games, because they did it for the Super Bowl as well.
Oh.
And so I for sure see that as a possibility, and I would love for that to happen. I think that would be so much fun. But definitely keep it up during the regular season as well.
Update. In the third period, Vancouver just scored, so it is now 2-1.
Woo-hoo. I don't know who I'm rooting for, honestly.
They're both in my division, so I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm cheering for whoever they have to play.
Right. So with that, remember to like and follow us on all major platforms. Wherever you're watching this video, drop a like. It's fucking free, and it's super easy. It's just one small click.
Let's see.
You don't even have to press it hard unless you want to. If you want to, that's fine.
I want you to headbutt that motherfucking mouse.
And absolutely. Do it.
Shout out to Connor Garland, who scored that goal. I want to hear in the comments, if you guys are watching, I want to hear your favorite obscure player. Like, what's one obscure player from, like, your favorite team's history or whatever that you really like?
And also, let us know what you think his favorite color is. How about that? Anyway, we thank you guys again so much for joining us for yet another episode of whatever the fuck this is. We appreciate you. We will see you next week. I forgot my fucking tagline.
In the face-off
We'll see you, motherfuckers. We'll see you, motherfuckers, in the face-off circle next week. Thank you and goodbye.